Adel came in and he said, I am the music dad. Hands out, shake hands, and he just completely pies me. I am not drinking with you, you are cheats. Carlo Cudicini, who's out, the reserve goalkeeper, he has literally saved me from, I was swinging. I was just going from QPR to Arsenal, my salary is like quadrupled. You should have scored the winning goal with a penalty. Well, Mr. President, I'm sorry. You must go away. Go back to England and find yourself a team. Played games that we felt we were going to outscore the opposition. Tell you that the money raised that day actually stopped the banks foreclosing on Chelsea and kept paid. We'll send you to Miami to a kicking coach from the Miami Dolphins. So I said, okay, fine. Our boys have come across. Bang. And we've all got basically just got wiped out.
Mr. Clive Holland, how are we doing?
Good afternoon, very good, thank you. Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
The new book's on the table.
Yes, up
That's
front.
a first as well. That's a first.
Yeah. Why did you not put my fucking book on there? My book's never been on the table.
Good marketing from Clive.
Very good. It's a great prop. It's a great prop, isn't it? It is a great prop.
Are you doing all right?
I'm good. Yes. Yeah.
I was looking at the clubs that you play for. Very similar to John here, in terms of we always joke about you being a home bird. I mean, Barnsley, Preston. You've always stayed north, and yeah, bar from
Cardiff.
Cardiff.
From Cardiff, yeah.
Spread your wings.
Cardiff weren't too north, but yeah.
People said that about me, but I went to Carlisle.
Yeah, well.
So.
And France.
I went abroad, yeah, for 1 year. I had a year in France.
But you've always liked to keep within the London borough.
Yeah, I was born and bred in London. I'm a true Cockney. I was born in Miling Road. 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, would you believe?
Jesus.
Many years ago.
It was written, wasn't it?
2 weeks after my dad had won the double with Tottenham, so I was actually at Wembley in my mum's tum watching the FA Cup final, which they won. So, I was born into a footballing way of life. It's what I know. It's what I've done. It's what I love. I just love the game. So, and all those stories are in the book.
Yeah. We'll speak about your football later, but I just want to ask you about.
It's a football podcast, but we tend to skim over it most of the time.
I know what's coming. I know what's going.
But I want to ask you about the Wenger.
Wenger?
Wenger? Is it Wenger?
Is it Wenger or Wenger?
Wenger for
the French
Wenger.
people. I
Yeah.
did Arsenal for a bit.
25 years.
I won't say how I pronounce it.
Wanker.
My mate.
Was it
The man
too
who
long?
hates to lose, and I'm a bad loser. I'm sure you are, but Arsene was one who just wouldn't accept it. Wouldn't accept losing. We got into quite a bit of a spat at the old Highbury. He took on Martin Yole, which wasn't a very good idea on the touchline. They went nose to nose.
Well, Martin Yole a bit Andy.
Martin could look after himself.
He looks a little bit hard.
Yeah.
He looks like it.
Yeah, and Arsene. I'm not,
What are you trying to say?
You could knock him over with a fucking fart, Arsene, couldn't you?
no, but the thing was, we scored a goal. 2 Arsenal players crashed into one another. We carried on. We scored a goal. I'm sitting 5 rows back in the dugout. Obviously, I was coach at the time at Tottenham, and as you do after the game, the coaches and staff go into the opposition manager's room. So me, Chrissy Houghton went in. We're sitting there. Pat Rice is in there, as is the other Arsenal staff. Always the same. Always, nice chat, glass of red, beer, whatever. And the door bursts open, and in comes Arsene and says, I am not drinking with you. You are cheats. And I went to Chrissy. I'm not having that, Chrissy. He went, what? And Chrissy, the perfect diplomat. Clive. Just go. I said,
Playing the
fuck
pipes
off.
of
I'm
peace.
off. I'm out of here. So as I sort of brushed past him and gone out, Chrissy's he's smoothing it all over. And then, as is, you're just waiting to play them and win. 5 games, they beat us 5 times. So of course, I have to sit. I'm sitting on my hands. We end up playing a semi-final against Arsenal, and we're absolutely mashing them. We are bashing them up, and I'm jumping up and down on my seat.
And you're dating our 2 rows back. You fuck off, Arsene.
And I just want to get up after the game. So as the game finishes, I'm the first up off the bench, hands out, shake hands, and he just completely pies me. Off he goes.
Bypassed it.
Right, wouldn't have it. down the tunnel, so I'm gone. Steam coming
Had he
out.
got his hands in his long
No, he's
coat?
still
He was
trying to do it. So off he goes down the tunnel. I chase him, and like I've lost it completely. What I didn't call him. What, you can't shake hands, all this, like all it was, and I've still, my hand is still straight out. Well done, like, oh, good game, like whatever you're saying, and he's not having it, and he's walked away. We've ended up in the tunnel, and we've gone nose to nose. We're having a few words.
Sorry.
You got a big nose, Arsene. He must have still been a metre off him.
I was lucky because Carlo Cudicini, who was out the reserve goalkeeper, he has literally saved me from. I was swinging.
Would you have gone?
I was gone. I'd completely lost it. I'd lost it, and he grabs me just as my right arm's coming across, and just literally drags me into the dressing room. He says, "Coach, what are you doing? We've fucking beaten me. We've mashed them," and he's taken me away. But the
you
biggest
mid-swing?
I was that
man.
Yeah, and of course, as these things do, it got up to the press room, and as I'm leaving the stadium, probably an hour and 15 later, I'm walking past the press room door, and as I go past the press room door, 2 journos come out. Clive, we heard there's a bit of a spat in the tunnel after the game. What did you say to Arsene? And I was like, oh.
Have you not calmed down by now?
Not really, no.
You still?
And I've gone, oh, what you mean, two bob? And as soon as I've said it, I knew I've killed myself. 2 bob bit, shit.
Yeah.
And of course, they made headlines out of it. I got in a lot of trouble at the club.
From Tottenham?
Tottenham were not happy, not at all. They wanted me to write him a letter, apologise. It's not the way we do things. And I was like, no, and I didn't. And they didn't like it. Obviously, supporters loved it, as they do, rightly so. But it was just, and it was, he just can't lose. He couldn't.
Which is you half get.
And it is half a good thing as well. Is he a winner or whatever?
He's a winner, yeah. He's a winner. And the thing was, I had nothing against him. It's just that you know what football's like. You'll bash one another up. You win, you lose, you draw. You have to deal with it. You have to handle it. And it was like. And he was like just dismissing us. It was like,
and still have a pint after the game. He should have just come in and had a drink with us.
But no, he never came in. And from then, he never came into Spurs. And obviously, Harry was in charge then. Never came into the coach's room ever again while we were there. He just wasn't having it.
It's a good claim to fame, though, giving Arsene Wenger a 10 count.
Oh, yeah,
if you'd have done it,
You got caught.
Carlo made a save. What a save from Carlo.
He can't remember many says if he were sub-keeper. But.
So Arsenal supporters don't like me, fair enough, but that's the way it is.
So what do you know in these after a game you go in for as you say, a glass of wine and all that? What do you actually talk about? Is it just basically just a bit of a formality and load of shite?
If you're certainly at Old Trafford, Sir Alex had really good wine, really good.
Oh, so just waiting for a drink,
and then he'd talk about the horses, and Harry would be talking about the horses, and
so it had nothing to do with the game that's just happened.
It would eventually get onto that. You'd ask about a player, and we liked him and what have you, and you might be sussing out about one or two that you might have been interested in, or he'll ask you about. And I tell you what, the one thing that always came up was like. Who are your characters? Who are the ones with the right attitude?
Oh, you trust and
it always came back to that. Who are your leaders? That was always a question that every manager and staff always asked about your players.
Do you think it was do you think they asked that thinking for in the 2 years, 3 years time, if they wanted to sign them?
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, and they might know of one or two of your youngsters as well. So along in the conversation, it'll be
getting the feelers out.
Yeah, how good is it? Because obviously all the academies and the way that it works, they're all playing against one another. They're all aware of what's happening, what you're developing, what you've got. So there's a business within a business. It's all very amicable.
You're half fucking snaking then, aren't you? Really?
Yeah.
You're half like
it's the game, though, isn't it? It's the game. It's the way it works.
Yeah.
So who were your leaders?
Huh?
Who were your leaders at that time?
We had Michael Dawson. Always, everyone said, "Oh, he looks a good character," and he was. You know, who are your leaders? Ledley was in his way, but
Was he one of them that led by example on the pitch?
Absolutely, yeah.
Ledley.
He's amazing.
Ledley, yeah.
Absolutely.
You can see that, can't you? Anyway.
Yeah.
But he didn't used to train, did he?
No, he couldn't. He couldn't train. Seriously, couldn't train.
So his knees.
His knees, yeah, he had a really, really bad. He had bad knees, but one really bad knee. It was a miracle that he played. He was extraordinary the way he could play at the level he did, and with the physical problems he had with his knees.
It just shows how good he was.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
fact that we just caught him out on a Saturday and he does the job in the Premier League.
But it also shows how good he could have been then.
That's right.
If he had not had the bad Berties, like.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, Noureddin Naibet came from Spain, and Noureddin was like 32, whatever, very experienced centre half.
Remember him,
And
Johnny?
a real character.
Can you remember him?
Noureddin what?
Naibet.
No,
Naibet,
well,
really,
I must have missed him.
really experienced player, real character. And the first week in at the club, and obviously he played against Barcelona, Real Madrid, and it's not long before you work people out, players out, and you could have a bit of banter with Noureddin. Come on, tell us about the squad. What do you think? Like, who are the players? Who could go and play? Who could go and play in Spain? And he went straight away. There's only one. He was like, there's only one. You know,
We thought we got a decent team here.
He went, there's only one. He said the king. He said the king could play Real Madrid, Barcelona. The king. He's like number one.
Who else was there at the time?
There was a few players.
Wasn't Modric in that, was it?
No, Luca hadn't arrived then, but obviously Robbie was there. Robbie Keane. There was some top players, yeah. But he picked him out straight away. That's how good he. And that was within a few days.
Did that suit you being a good cop? You know, like coaches and assistant managers. There's a good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Was that something that you enjoyed doing? Just you're almost mates with the lads, aren't you?
Some of the coaches. But you have to be. I think you have to be. You're what you are. I think because I was born into it, football was a way of life. It was what I knew. It's the way I lived my life. So I was in and around, QPR 6 years of age when my dad played there. He was manager there, and so I grew up in and around dressing rooms, in and around that sort of environment. So I didn't know any different. It was like
normal.
Chatting to the lads and whatever. That was the way it was, and. You get a sense. You get a sense of how players are. There's miserable ones. There's funny ones. There's talented ones who don't say too much. But so I just love that. Just love being involved. Love being part of it.
The good cop though. The good cop does get some hammer.
Oh,
of course he does.
Do you know what I mean? Like when there's 3 players out of the team who think they should be in it, and they're like, why the fuck am I? Why is he not picking me?
Especially when you have to take them the day off Sunday morning, and they're coming in Sunday morning to train because they haven't played or haven't been involved the day before. That's hard work. Yeah. That's hard work as a coach, and you're going to get the grief, but But it was Harry who made
the boss.
He knows fuck all that Redknapp. He doesn't know what he's on about. I'd play you. And then you're like, oh.
Yeah. But the best one was Ramos. When Ramos came in as a manager from Spain, and I was taking a reserve group, and he basically said, I said, one day, how do you want us to work? Do you want us to work in tandem with you if you need any of the reserves? Clive, I give you players. I don't want those players. So what do I do with them? One day, whatever you want.
Really?
Seriously, whatever you want. I said, but you might need them one day. You get a few injuries. No, he said, I give you players I don't want. It was so black and white.
Was that disheartening for you?
No, because basically I then could do almost. Yeah. You could do what you want.
Free rein.
Yeah.
You not got no pressure from above us.
Yeah.
No. Who was involved in that then? Who did he bomb off straight away?
Well, we had a few. Steve Malbronk was one of the really, really good pro who was regular in the first team. That one day I thought, no, he's not part of it. He gave me 7 players. Adel Taarabt was one of them as well at that time. There was players. There was really and it was like but they knew because of the way he worked. They knew they were out, they were gone, and there was no way back. And that was one of the big things that Harry did that was so good that when he took over from him, he got where they had a squad of 20, say they had 24, he worked with 24 one day. First morning, he's got 34 players, 34 pros on the first team pitch, got them all together. Right lads, because he's pulled me in the morning. Harry's gone, what the fuck's going on here? we've got 2 points off 8 games. He's just like, look at his squad of players. I said, well, Harry, to be honest, they're frightened. So he said, what do you mean they're frightened? I said, the ones who are out, they're gone. The ones who are in were playing frightened, playing scared. So I go, what do you mean? So, well, if they make a mistake and he bombs them, they know they're gone. So they were absolute.
That's the ultimate bomb squad. That you know when you're in the bomb squad, there's no way back.
No return.
Yeah.
That's right, and that's how it was. So he went, don't worry, I'll sort that. So of course, 34 pros on the first team pitch. First morning, come and said, look, I'm not silly. So lads, you know what the lads are like. They're all like, what's he going to? He said, I can only play 11. I'm going to upset some of you. I'm going to make some of you you're going to be back in the side. He said, but I'll tell you what, it's not like what it's been. He said, so you've all got a chance. Let's get on with this. 2 points in 8 games. Fucking disgrace. He said, and we went, and all of a sudden, what happened was, the ones that were in, they all went, oh, thank fuck for that.
Yeah. Can you see
I've
the
got a
lift?
chance. Oh yeah, absolutely, straight away. And the ones that were out, they were like, all the other lads are like, oh, where you been? And all of a sudden, the whole mood of the place just went lifted, and bang, we went on a run. We finished. I think we finished 7th or 8th at the end of the season from like second bottom.
That's how easy. All it needed was that. Right, lads.
Yeah.
You've all got your
a
chance.
He said, I can't do any more than that. You've got a chance. Some will play, some won't. Some will like me, some won't. But that's, and it all of a sudden he just completely changed the whole atmosphere at the club, and boom, it took off.
Even if it's just lip service, even if you're just saying it,
Yeah.
the amount of confidence that them lads are getting from that, and then they can play their way back in the team.
The ones that were really affected by it were the ones that were in the squad that were absolutely petrified. They seriously.
So they're in the squad. They're thinking, it doesn't really matter what I do. I'm still in it.
Yeah.
Because they are fucking 3 fields down.
But he said, but they didn't want to be down there. They didn't want that.
Yeah.
So it was.
Was Taarabt there when Harry arrived?
Taarabt or Taarabt?
Taarabt, yeah.
Adel, yeah.
Did he change? Because
No.
you were here a few stories.
Adel came in and he said, I am the new Zidane. And you have to build a team around me. Hold on, Adel, you're not. Yes, but I am. Like,
What age will they have been here?
he was about 17, 18 when he came.
And he said that at that age?
Yeah. He
Jesus
believed it,
Christ.
How did you deal with him?
Talent. You couldn't deal with him. So the first few games, Harry's in charge. I'm taking the reserves. He's upstairs, Harry. Adel starts the game. You knew within 5 minutes whether he was going to have a game or not, because the first one he'd try and flick through someone's legs. If he got it the other side,
That's
bingo.
Put your bet on, lads.
Yeah.
Put your bet on.
If he didn't, then he'd try absolutely impossible things, and he'd just go from bad to worse.
And it just
Spit his dummy
A
out.
couple of times, it's like you look up and Harry would go. So you go to the kids, right? Well, you might have 2 or 3 kids on the bench. Like, get yourself warmed up. Look up and he'd go, leave him on. It's like, sit down, boys. It's like, it was impossible.
Because we played against McQPR.
Yeah. See, Neil Warnock used him well. Neil just said, go and play. And he told all the other lads, from what I was told, just like, let me deal with him.
I'll deal with him in a different way.
He'll drive you absolutely mad, but I'll take the responsibility. But he'll win us a few games, and he did, and he could. But at Spurs, he just wasn't consistent enough. Couldn't rely on him, and the other lads, they weren't. You know,
That's a different level.
Exactly.
It's a different level. The Premier League is a different level of the Championship, where if you've got a group of 10 players who are all 6.5, 7s out of 10, good Championship players, but you've got one
Zidane.
yeah.
Yeah.
You can cope with that.
And he could. He won games where they got promotion.
Yeah.
So it was a way of using him, and he had ability. He did have ability, but he was.
So was he already there when Harry came in, or
yeah?
so who'd signed in that Ramos?
No, Comely, who was I think it was Damien Comely, who was like the technical director at the time.
Right.
French guy who knew of him from his like young days in France. So.
The most difficult player you've worked with, would you say?
Adel, yeah. Complex character, difficult, very. But a talent, a real talent.
I want to say, how far do you think he could have gone?
He could have done anything. He literally could have done anything.
He could have been the next
Zidane.
Yeah, he made 3 people.
Yeah.
When I think I was at Preston, we played again. He made 3 people on the halfway line, went through and stuck in the top corner.
Yeah.
I think I was the first
won the
one.
game.
I think I was the first one.
It was a desperate lunge, wasn't it?
I just run 30 yards to try and fucking close him down. No wonder how my legs were all on the gaff.
He was a talented boy, but he never fulfilled. He never had the career he should have had, if you know what I mean. Because
Where is he now?
I've no idea.
I've seen him on something actually, like a Megs. You know when he's rolled the ball over the top of his foot and gone through some of his legs. Might have been in this Europa League thing.
I don't know where he's playing now, but no, real character.
Did you have much to say with Redknapp? Like day to day, before leading up to a game, or was he just, I know my team, I don't need to ask my staff or whatever? What?
Harry knew a lot of it. It was that gut reaction, that instinct, and he was out there every day. He would let Kevin Bond, obviously Joe Jordan and myself, he'd let us do the sessions as such. So we'd plan, and typical Harry, there'd be days where he'd come in, put his head in the office. What are we doing? Right, okay. Just give me half an hour because I want to do a little something. Okay, Harry, and you knew exactly what session he was going to do.
You think he was just like thinking, they're paying me all this money, I need to do a little bit. Right?
But he was out at every session. He's watching, and he was a great one of watching the players, seeing how they were, and basically, that man management, that man management skill that he'd think, well, he don't look right, he's not performing, whatever it might be, and selection was like that at times as well. We'd be in there hour and a half in the dressing room before games, having a very good idea what the team was going to be, and right at the last minute he'd flip someone in and out, and you think, and then obviously all set pieces change, the whole thing. But that's the way
on the fucking sheets again, ain't you?
But invariably he was right. He got it right. He got results, and that's the way he worked. He was very, very clever. His knowledge of players and football was incredible, where he could refer back to a game that might have been 5 years before, and he's done that in that, and he'd remember it, and he was always sort of asking his staff, wasn't it 2 years ago you said he was he wasn't a player, and you'd go, well, at the time, Harry, I saw him. It's like, look at him now, he's like 5 million or 10 million or whatever it might be, and he's photographic memory of players and football, really.
They say Ferguson was like that, don't they?
Yeah.
How did you find that writing the book? Did you going right back to the beginning, looking back at your career from the start? Yeah. Did you find it therapeutic?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm glad from that point of view. It really was. It was something that was emotional at times, and just the memories coming back as well, and reliving them, and it's amazing. Like you say, what you remember, just little details that you remember at the time, and how it was and what it was like. And
could you remember the details?
Most of it, yeah, most of it. You get it out of sync at times, and obviously, chronologically, it doesn't always, not always, but you remember when referred to certain incidents, it that comes back to you. It was enjoyable. It really was.
My missus said to me, when I wrote my book, and she's like, you know everything, don't you? Like about what goal you scored here and what goal. She says, why can you not remember my fucking birthday? I said, right. I said, well, it's not that important to me, is it?
And I'm the same. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How can you know that story to that detail? It was 15 years ago. I'm like, well, must have enjoyed that story. Maybe not so much enjoyed your birthday.
Is it strange reliving that signing for Arsenal moment? Because you were at QPR,
I was 18.
The first £1 million plus teenager.
Yeah.
And then
the game's gone mad. The press obviously blew up on it and said, what's happened to football? It's gone crazy.
1.25 million. What's happened to the game?
Yeah, 1980. Yeah. And
I don't mean to make you feel old here, but I weren't even bought. My mum and dad were just fucking sorting me out.
Yeah, I know. I'm a dinosaur. I know I am. But Tommy Docherty was the manager of QPR, and he rung me. It was the end of the season. Season finished. It was summer break, and he rung me. He said, "Clive," I didn't know who it was. It was Tommy Docherty. He said, "Oh, Gaffer." I said, "You're right." He said, "Yeah." He said, "You're going to a great club." What? Said,
Well, you think I'm in Magaluf? Yeah. I know I'm going to fucking go
boomerangs.
Yeah. You're going to a great club, and he said, "We've done a deal with Arsenal. Terry Neal's going to ring you," and that was it. Went to see Terry Neal, signed 4-year deal. Went away on holiday, come back, did pre-season, played 2.5 pre-season games, and as we returned from Belgrade, having been in Belgrade for a weekend tournament, it was the Monday morning. We returned to London, and again, no mobiles, all that sort of stuff in those days. Walked through the airport, and all the newspapers are carrying a story. Arsenal are trading Allen for Sanderson.
2.5 pre-season games.
Yeah, 63 days I'd been there.
Are you scoring these 2.5 pre-season
No,
games?
I didn't.
We're not surprised at that.
That's how harsh the game is.
Nah, we're fucked up. We're fucked up.
I went in on the Tuesday and got in, and obviously my dad was a great advisor over the years because of his experience having played. And he said, "Look, just go in." He said, "If the manager calls you, have a word with him. I'm sure he'll dismiss it." Yeah. So as I arrived at the training ground, Don Howe, who was then coach to Terry Neal, was the manager. Don says, "You need to go back to Highbury, back to the ground. See the manager. He's at the ground." So I'm thinking, this is where you get that.
We're not. It's
not good.
This is not my normal children.
And also, you think, hold on, I should have trained first. If there's nothing in it, you're going to train first, and then he's going to tell you after. So I drove back from what was Colney, the training ground, back to Highbury, went into his office, and Terry, as he was, he said, "You probably read the newspapers." Yeah, well, thinking he's going to say, "Well, there's nothing in it."
It's a load of bollocks, mate. It's not Clive, don't worry, it's a load of bollocks.
He said, we want Kenny Sanderson. Well, hold on a minute. I've signed a 4-year deal. And he said, "Yeah." He said, "The only way we can do the deal is if you go to Palace and Kenny comes this way."
Did that hit you psychologically? As a young lad, did you think, what? 2.5 games?
I was.
What have I done wrong
I was
here?
18. yeah. And I said, and to be honest, again, maybe just because of the insight I'd had to the game, I said to him, "But you just paid 1.25 million for me." He came back with the old, "Well, if you don't go, you won't start on Saturday."
Oh, so there were that. Felt that
and I was
strongly
like,
about it.
See, you were probably half lucky that you knew about it. You know, if this is just a kid who's never been anywhere near football, it just fucking
exactly.
It just fucking crumbled like a.
And I did. I know. I did come back. I said, "Well, Terry," I said, "Boss, you don't play me." I said, "You spent all that money on me. You don't play me." I said, "The crowd would go mad." And really, Dad had given me that sort of insight
So
into. And he went. Well, he said, "You won't play." Okay, fine. I said, "Well, if you give," and in those days it was like, "Well, if you give me permission, I'll go and speak to Terry Venables, who was manager at Crystal Palace." And so on the Wednesday, and ironically, my dad had signed Terry Venables from Tottenham to QPR. The families, we'd grown up in Dagenham in London, where the families had grown up together over the years. So and as is Venner's, on the Wednesday we meet in the hotel in London. He comes bowling along. Dad's come up, and I remember my dad said to him, "Tell, what the fuck's going on?" And he went, "Look," he said, "do you want to come and play for me or not?" And that was it. That was his spiel. And I looked at my dad, and Dad went, "Well, it's up to you." And then obviously it was all the arrangements, the deals were all done. And
we're at Palace at this time.
Palace had just come into the top flight.
Right.
They were the team of the 80s, a very, very good young team that Terry Venables had developed.
Yeah.
Great things were thought of them, and obviously a lot of very talented young players. And he just said, "Look, I want you to come and play for us." And that was it. We went to Liverpool, Anfield, on the opening day of the season. So this was on the Wednesday.
Well, I wouldn't have signed till after that.
Well, so we go to Liverpool. We didn't touch the ball for like half an hour. We're 2-0 down after 20 minutes. Like Doug Leash, Rush, unbelievable. Hanson, Lawrence, and champions.
The team.
They were
the team.
And Arsenal went to West Brom and won 1-0. I'll never forget it. Those things are imprinted in your head.
So, well, obviously now, you know, like at the time, did you say, well, I'll tell you what then, you've just paid all this money for me, whatever your contract were, did you say, well, give me X and I'll leave?
Well, no, the craziest thing of all was that when I signed for Arsenal, you got 5% of the transfer fee as a signing on fee. Right. That was abolished that summer.
Oh.
Right. So when I spoke to Terry Venables, they said, well, we'll take over your Arsenal contract and you get another signing on fee. Right. So without thinking, we went, okay, fine. So I got another 5% of the.
Oh, so you got both of them?
Yeah, so I got both of them, but I should have sat there and gone, no, I want 10%, not 5%.
Yeah.
Because it had been abolished, but obviously it never happened. So no one really knew. You didn't have agents, so it wasn't an agent doing that deal for you. But I got back in the car after signing for Crystal Palace, and my dad, who experienced in football, and he turned to me and he went, you know what, son? So I said, what's that? He said, you just won the pools. And I went,
Not only worth the lottery then.
So I went,
it was the pools.
It was the pools. I went, well, what do you mean? He said, you just won the pools. Because I just got 2 signing on fees within 63 days.
And did you see it like that, or did you think
No,
I've just signed?
I didn't have any. You just don't understand. I didn't understand it.
But you just thought, I've just signed for Arsenal. They paid this amount of money for us, and they're fucking us off after 2.5 pre-season games. Because I don't think that is.
And
Money doesn't matter, does it?
I think that was one of my frustrations going all the way back to Mr. Wenger with Arsenal.
Yeah, do you think that was an underlining?
Well, I've
So
got this.
You wanted to twat an Arsenal manager from about fucking 30 years.
But in a subconscious way, I think it probably was just, it was always there that I had this, you know.
You took that dinosaur out if you had the chance.
And of course, obviously later on in my career, going to Spurs and playing for Spurs, and that rivalry, the natural rivalry that there is anyway, and that's the way it is. Wenger and Arsenal and the way they played and how the football they played, how successful they were, unbelievable, incredible. But no, I think perhaps from that experience way back 1980, I just fierce.
So
how did you take that personally when you went going into Palace? Obviously the expectations there, but
price tag was there.
The price tag.
So did Palace just pay the exact same?
No, they did because obviously they were trading. I don't know exactly what the fee was in terms of what me and Kenny were traded for.
So what Kenny worth 1.25 million?
Well, they valued it at that, but I'm not sure that was actually registered at that. If you know what I mean. So it might well have been. We swapped these 2 players at 900 grand or whatever it was. I don't know.
How did he do when he went?
Kenny, very good.
But a good move for Arsenal then.
Yeah.
So did you go in?
He was a top player. So he was a top player. Yeah.
Did you go into Palace like, I'm gonna fucking show you?
Yeah, I wanted to prove people
that in your
wrong.
head?
Yeah, it was, and it was really.
I've won the pools as well, so bonus already.
Yeah, but absolutely, in all honesty, to this day, the money side of it, the wages, anything, just going from QPR to Arsenal, my salary quadrupled, but that was never the issue. I was still trying to establish myself.
It's pride, isn't it, as well? You think?
And all I wanted to do was play, and I think Veners knew that. That's really why I went to Palace, because I'm thinking, right, I'm going to go there, I'm going to play, and I'm going to prove people wrong.
The thing is, at 18 as well, all you've got is you're bored to your mum and dad. Are you still with your mum and dad?
Yeah, living at home.
You're bored to your mum and dad, and then you beer money in it. That's all you've got. So the money aspect of it is not a massive issue.
No, that's right.
Whereas if you were 28, it would be different.
Yes.
But pay your mum and dad the board, go and play football, go and get pissed. Job done. That's what it were. As simplistic as it is, that's what it were.
Just wanted to play the game. Just wanted to be, because you have that. You just want to establish yourself, don't you? You want to get in the team. You want to stay in the team. That was all I had in my head. But that year at Palace was. I grew up so quick. That was very, very tough. It made me. I would say it made me. I went there as a kid, and I came out a year later at the other end and went back to Queen's Park Rangers. Almost a year to the day that I'd left to go
Was
to
that Terry
Arsenal.
Venables again?
Yeah, because what happened was 3 months in, Terry leaves Palace, he goes to QPR. It's crazy when you think about it now. It's like Terry Venables leaves, goes to QPR, my first club, and at the end of that season, he buys me back to QPR from Crystal Palace, having been away a year and been an Arsenal and Crystal Palace player.
Yeah.
What was tough about it?
Just you know, the players, because you've got this price tag on the expectation, and you know, it was a tough school. Palace was a tough school.
We're talking 80-81 here. I can imagine the players in 80-81 were a lot different to the players now.
Yeah.
They call a spade a spade. Look, you've just cost us 1.2 million quid. Fucking sweet as that, you've been shit.
By the way, we're
Is that
half,
what it was?
we're half an hour.
There will be-
Exactly.
I
You've
can
got
imagine they're as ruthless as that.
Yeah.
We're half an hour into the podcast. You know, we haven't mentioned the drinking school, the drinking culture.
Which is usually the first
Yeah,
thing
that's
that
the
comes out.
Yeah.
Which one?
I was never really I wasn't a drinker when I played. It just something that I didn't do. But again, like that Palace group, they had their groups as every club did. They had their Thursday nights out. Thursday nights out, which I because I was north of the water, so I to come to Palace I had to go south of the water. So I lived an hour away, so I wasn't part of that. And yeah, all those factors, that was one of, you know, it didn't work. It didn't work at Palace. It was a club. The chairman.
Thursdays though.
Yeah, they went out Thursdays to Palace boys in those
So
days.
did you struggle to mix with the rest of the lads then?
Yeah,
because of that.
But there was 4 of us that came from north of the water. So we came in from the other side of.
It's
from
crazy
Essex.
now thinking
So
about
you
you
got-
know, all these foreign players, and you're talking about being north of the
Exactly,
water.
an hour away.
We're separate.
Yeah, and we were.
But you'd actually got your own little, not clique, but you
had your
got
groups.
your own group,
Yeah,
and you weren't.
yeah,
I can't believe it was Thursdays back then.
yeah.
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 Obviously, you understand the Tuesdays and the Sundays and the Mondays and the Saturdays.
Yeah.
But Thursdays, that's a bit.
And I didn't partake in that, so it was, and really the north of the water boys we didn't, because we were an hour away. So yeah.
Did you get involved at any other clubs?
Not really.
In the
No,
schools?
no. It was just something that I wasn't a drinker really.
Yeah.
So
Saves a couple of quid up my bill, this, hasn't it?
I am now. Well, then, of course, the biggest thing was when I went to France, when I went to Bordeaux and lived in the Medoc, which was like, you know, best wine in the world. That was an education, and
It was.
So I like my red wine. And,
So
yeah.
Ferguson had a connoisseur walking through the door when he.
Well, no,
when
I
he
just
got his red out.
I was fortunate to go to that part of the world and experience that where I was living, and the whole thing. You know, it was a massive cultural thing that I to this day I say, you know, it was fantastic to have experienced that.
Was that something you always wanted to do?
Play abroad, yes, yeah. And what happened was I was going out of contract at Spurs, and before freedom of contract, and I was 28, and if I was going to play abroad, that was the opportunity. It had to be then,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm glad I did it. We had a year there. There was highs and lows, and the whole experience was good and bad. But it was something that, like, I sit here today and I always say it, that I didn't want to be sitting anywhere in later life saying, oh, I wonder what that would have been like.
I wonder if it
Yeah, but I did it, and I enjoyed the experience. I really did. Yeah.
Because I mean, Bordeaux. I mean, we'll come back to Spurs, but I mean, they were a force in France.
Well, I was
At the
sold.
time.
I was sold Bordeaux by, at that time, a journalist who was an expert in French football, and he said, "You know, you're joining the Liverpool of France." So I went, well, "What do you mean?" He said, "They win every year. They win something every year, the league, the cup, and for 10 years, that period through the 80s, they did. They were the dominant team. There was reasons why they were, and financial irregularities and all that sort of stuff. But they were, you know, Tigana was captain, fantastic. Dugarry came. He was a young player when I went there. Christophe was Lisa Azou, the left back, was just emerging.
So
Roche.
who signed you then? Was he an English bloke or a French bloke?
The president.
The manager or what?
Well,
the president?
Aimé Jacquet was the manager who took France to win the World Cup. He was the coach of Bordeaux then. And what happened? They had a centre forward by the name of Bernard Lecomte. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he was like they always thought that he was like an English type centre forward. So you know what's coming, don't you? So he plays for Bordeaux for 10 years and retires. And then they think, right, we've got to go and get an English centre forward. So they bought me and they got it completely wrong. Because I wasn't.
That's what I mean, because there weren't many going abroad back
No,
then.
Glenn and Mark, Glenn Hoddle and Mark Haley were at Monaco. Mo Johnson was at Nantes. And then there was a splattering. There was a few German players, 1 or 2 Brazilians. Valderrama was there, the Colombian. So there was some big players in French football, but not many English players.
That's what I mean. To go and pluck you out of English football to go and sign for the Liverpool of French football.
Yeah, there was. I don't know how it come about, but it happened just before I was a free agent, because Spurs wanted me to go. They knew I wasn't going to sign a new contract, so they wanted to move. So they eventually did a transfer with Bordeaux.
What age were you when you went?
28, yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
You wanted to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And
Was it a culture shock when you got there?
Yeah, massively, yeah.
Because we're going old school, English football.
They didn't,
I imagine it'd be
they
chilled.
didn't drink. Those boys didn't drink.
No.
They were
Coffee,
and
Marlboro
they'd have a glass of wine.
Marlboro Light.
Oh, no, unbelievable. The smoking was they all did.
Yeah. I've been to France.
Tigana at half time.
I've been to France, mate.
You're right.
We did a caravan park.
He's right though.
They'd sit from 2 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. They'd have 6 coffees and 40 Marlboro Lights.
Yeah. But they didn't drink.
But they didn't drink, so they were all right.
No, the training, the conditioning, the whole thing was an education. It really was.
So
I played a stone lighter there than I did at Spurs when I was I would say was in my prime, and I went there. And the way we trained, I've never run so much in my life as we did there.
Was it a different approach to condition and
Everything, yeah. I had blood tests. The funniest story I tell about that is that we had blood tests first week in. We had blood tests pre-season. We did the pre-season at the training camp, which was absolutely stunning. It was a chateau, beautiful grounds. So first week in, they said you got to go in and see the doctor. So why is that? You're going to have a PK, like blood tests. Oh right, okay. So a week later, the doc walks in through the dressing room, goes round, and he's talking to everyone in French, which I didn't understand, about their tests. So he said, right, we went out and trained, come back, and there was like these bags of what were thought was like brown sugar, right, on everybody's thing. So they said, just take it home, sprinkle it on your cereal in the morning, you'll be fine, right? So 3 weeks later, or 4 weeks later, exactly a month tests, have the blood test. He comes in the next day, he's going round, he's talking, like we had Enzo Schifo was there, the Belgium, Yannick Stopper, centre forward, and Tigana used to change next to me, captain. So as the docs come around, always saying, he comes to me, shaking my hand, Clive, magnifique. Hemoglobin levels are like spot on.
Did you even know what hemoglobin level were back then?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh great, like
Cheers, Doc.
Merci beaucoup, Doc. Right?
I'm going to go to this, Anna.
So as he goes out, I turn to Tigana, to Jean, I say, Jean, like qu'est-ce que c'est? And he went, just wagged his finger. He went, thinking, what the fuck have I been taking for 4 weeks? But everything's right. So he said, so I didn't take it. After that, never took it again. It was literally, God knows what, I don't know to this day what it was. But for that month, obviously, my levels were perfect.
So it could have been a performance enhancing, or
could have been
a masking agent or something.
It could have been whatever it was. It
did the job.
Let's just say it was an additive. It was something.
Is it magnifique?
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Yeah.
So do you think the club said to the doctor, just sort him out, just give him whatever
just
you
fix
need to
it,
do?
make sure he's good.
Looking back on it now, yeah, they must have done. They were doing something.
No wonder they were fucking Liverpool of France.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like Rocky IV, isn't it? Like, giving them all gear, sort it out.
And to this day, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it might be. Nothing, but it it made my bloods good. So.
Did you feel better when you were playing? Did it make a difference that way?
No, I was a completely different athlete there. Because, as I say, I was a stone lighter. I was like a marathon runner there, which I'd never been. Because obviously, you play the position I played, it was more explosive, and I could run all day, every day, and we literally run every day. It was unbelievable.
But it must not have been that pleasurable to go to work then.
It was hard work. I'm going to say it's hard work, and I loved training. I loved training every day, and you know what it was like. You get in at whatever 9 for 10, and you train, and then you do your extra bit of finishing after, and that was my way of life. I loved that. Went there, and it was like 2 sessions a day, no days off. Play Saturday night, in Sunday morning, took a Taarabt run. Like,
she's running a Sunday morning after.
We run Sunday morning. It was the weirdest thing. We had a training camp that, say the perimeter was a mile around the training camp, you had to do 4 laps on a Sunday morning. Now, if you wanted to walk 4 laps, you could walk 4 laps. There was no time on it. You did it. You jog a bit, you run a bit. You could run it as quick as you want, but you never didn't do 4 laps. And they'd watch you, and then you come in, you have massage, and then the craziest thing of all on the Sunday morning was you'd come in, you had to have massage. If you didn't have massage, you get fined. They were absolutely red hot on the fines. But you'd go from there upstairs, and in the shadow there was this beautiful dining room with a bar in the corner. And you go up, and they'd let you have 1 little glass of Heineken Sunday lunchtime after you've done your recovery on the Sunday morning.
Like a shot?
Yeah, just literally. You know the little bottles of Heineken. You could have one little Heineken. But it gets in your head.
and you got in my head. As soon as you've had the one shot of Heineken, you're like, "Fuck it, we're cracking on."
And the best one of that was Jesper Olsen joined us from Manchester United at Christmas. So we used to fly Saturday night when we played away, but fly back straight after the game. You'd have a little packed lunch on the plane, of which there was this little bottle of Heineken after the game, but just one, and it was Heineken because Tigana, that was the only beer that he would drink, right? So the first trip that Jasper's on, we're on the plane, so we all get on, all the packed lunches come round. All of a sudden, and again, like I say, a lot of lads didn't drink, so I've turned around, I'm like, Jesper, you all right? He's sitting at the back of the plane. He's got all the beers, all the little beers from all the lads. He's gone, I'll have that. Right? He's sitting at the back. He's giving me like the thumbs up. I went, Jesper, you all right? Yeah, I'm great.
He's only had 2 pints.
But honestly, it was brilliant. Honestly, really. So it was a great experience. It really was.
Should we just have a minute? I need a piss, so should we just have a minute?
No worries.
You'll just sneak off without saying no, yeah? So do you know, you obviously wanted to play abroad, but was there any financial aspect of it that sold it to you?
Or was it just the experience?
Yeah, well, you enjoyed playing at Tottenham, obviously, for your 4 years that you'd had there. Had you just had enough, not had enough, but were you just ready for a different challenge and you thought, I'd like to go abroad?
Yeah, I wanted to go
challenge.
abroad. And if I was going to go, I had to go, obviously the timing of it, coming out of contract, if it was going to happen, it was going to happen then.
Yeah.
So I think I had that in the back of my mind. You're always, wondering whether what sort of deal might come about, what the situation was with a transfer abroad, the whole thing. But Tottenham never really helped the situation in respect that I'd come out of end of a 4-year deal, and what they offered me was derisory, really, and that sort of made my mind up.
They remind you of Footballer of the Year
the year before.
So they offered the same contract and a piece of cheese.
Yeah,
basically.
Basically, it was
Always
you know.
food, innit? Always
food again.
Always
I like
food.
my mate. I like my food. It's all I eat, mate.
and as I say, once that had happened, and Terry Venables was manager, I'd worked for him. It was the 3rd time I was going to work for him. He wanted me to stay, but it was the club's decision. There was one other reason as well that I didn't know of until that. I think they'd already lined Gary Lineker up to come from Barcelona,
Right.
coming from Spain.
Because Venables had just worked with Lineker.
With Lineker at Barcelona, so I think that was already in the pipeline. So it wasn't like they were falling over backwards to make me,
We'll offer him
maybe-
that because we've got half an idea he'll not accept it.
Yeah. So there was a bit of that, but then my negotiations in France were, it was mind blowing in terms of it was the first time I'd used an agent. Dennis Roach was the agent that had done Glenn's and Mark Hateley's deal to Monaco.
Was that because you were going abroad?
Yeah, and he knew the going rate. He knew how it worked. And
So was there more money in France than in England then?
Yes, yeah, there was, and it was from what I was on at
No,
Spurs.
I mean in general.
Yes,
Right,
yeah. So it made my mind up. They did the deal. Spurs actually sold me before I become not a free agent, but before I was out of contract, because they wanted to get the transfer fee, and because of that,
totally different then, weren't it?
because of that, it sort of speeded up the whole thing.
Process.
There was a couple of other clubs that were interested, one in Italy, one in Germany, that Dennis Roach, the agent, had been speaking to, but Bordeaux wanted to do the deal, and they did. They nailed it, and so I signed.
Because I imagine Italy at that time would have been
Italy
very
was
attractive.
Yeah, Italy was a place that I'd love to have gone and tried to score goals in. That was, they say it was the toughest to score goals in Italian football against their Italian defences. I would have loved that opportunity, but really Bordeaux, they was like, we want you, and the deal.
So they basically how keen they were, that made you want to sign there.
Yeah. And
it's even there's less players go over there now. You said it was rare, but there was probably 4 or 5 over there already.
Yeah, Glenn Hoddle, Mark Hateley were at Monaco. Mo Johnson was at Nantes. There was a splattering of German players. The Colombian Valderrama was there. So there was some.
It was obviously a popular league to play in.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Because there's not many gone over recently, had they? Joe Cole went.
Joe went.
Barton went.
Joey went.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, the French football, I think, has changed in that respect over the years.
I think it's got a little bit like Scottish, hasn't it? French. We keep going back to the Scottish, but French has got PSG are going to win it every year.
That's right.
And
they
the rest of
have
it
the
is-
finances to do that. They
PSG and Monaco with finances, aren't you, that are going to pull them in?
Yeah.
So the rest of them, they're
And
all just making up the numbers a little bit.
They are, and they're developing young talent to sell it, and a lot of it is obviously is aimed at selling to the Premier League. Should the Premier League clubs be interested? So it's more of a breeding ground, I think, of young talent now.
Is Venables the best manager you worked under?
Best coach, yes, yeah, definitely the best coach. Very clever coach. He was always asking questions of his players, put sessions on which related to the game and the way you played, and so yeah, Terry. I enjoyed working with Terry. There was different managers that had, Howard Kendall was a great man manager. The way, and
I was about to ask that question when you said he's the best coach.
Yeah,
There's a difference between a coach and a manager, even if they're in the same role.
yeah, that's right.
So man manager wise, Howard Kendall.
Howard was a good man, and I was at Man City when he came, and he didn't play me a lot. We had our differences, but he was very clever, and seeing him work with a group and with the players, you could see why he was successful. But there was others. I've really took over from him. I fell out massively with Reedy and left Man City, but
Peter Reid.
Yeah, but we get on well now. We see it. I've worked with him in media, and we see the game very similar and lots of things. And I'd say he's a good friend of mine now, but he basically told me to fuck off at Man City. He said go back to London. But that was Reedy. He was in the early days of his management time as well. So,
what were you like as a player? Were you out? If you felt like you should be playing, and like I say, Reedy didn't play you, would you?
I was off.
Your head gone.
Yeah, I was. I could not have played today. Being rested and being. I wanted to play. I wanted to play every game. Wanted to score every game. That was just the way I was. And as soon as I knew that wasn't the case, I'd be wanting to go. And, that's why I went down the leagues. And obviously, when I left West Ham, I played 5 Premier League games for West Ham. But Billy Bonds was fantastic, and he, as straight as they come. And Billy said, "Look, Clive, you're not going to play regularly. You can stay for the rest of my contract that was there." And I said, no, I've got to play, and went to Millwall. Mick McCarthy was at Millwall. Mick took me to Millwall because I just wanted to play. I wanted to play football.
So can you appreciate that, like when you've been on the other side of it, can you appreciate like what, when you're knocking on doors every Monday saying, why the fuck am I not playing? Yeah. Can you appreciate the other side of it now?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And as a coach, you I think because of your playing experience and the way you knew that you felt, you have a little bit of an understanding of where the players are.
Empathy, I think.
Yeah, definitely, because you needed that. As a coach, you definitely need that. And it's not always easy, but sometimes you have to tell players, well, actually you're not playing well enough, and you need to improve this or whatever it might be. But you have that feeling and understanding of what they're going through at that time.
Well, I think as a player, we've spoke about it loads, haven't we? If you're honest with the player and just say, look, you've been shit for the last month.
Yeah.
You're a bag of shit in training.
Yeah.
There's nothing more you can
sort yourself out.
Yeah, sort yourself out, and you'll have half a chance of getting in the team.
Yeah.
Or getting somewhere near it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and then at the end of it, like we all know, it's about results and winning. And you got to, as a coach, you have to find that winning formula and the consistency and giving your team the best chance to win whenever you play.
Before we go back to those days at Tottenham, we need to ask at Bordeaux. Obviously, Eric Cantona came.
Eric, he came,
and that was at the pinnacle of him going off the rails, really, because he'd been banned from the French national team. He'd just thrown his shirt at the
coach's
manager.
face. That's right. Yeah.
What, did he get subbed?
Yeah, and he took his shirt off. He walked off. Chucked to the bench, straight out of the tunnel.
For which club? I'm testing your research now.
It wasn't Marseille. It was. I'm not sure which club it was, but then
was he another Adel Taarabt, was he?
Oh, he was worse than that.
But he every right to be, really. Just how established he was.
But he said before he went to Bordeaux, he'd never play in France again.
Well, that was what was said, and then all of a sudden he turns up at Bordeaux, and everybody and the thing was, he wasn't allowed in the rules. That wasn't allowed. So Bernard Tapie and Claude Bez, who were basically the presidents of Marseille and Bordeaux, were making the rules up as they went along, because you had a roster of players, and I remember we wrote off a player injured so that Eric could come in, but that wasn't allowed. But it is, because he's not going to play anymore. So what do you mean he's not going to play? He's injured. He's not playing anymore. So it's like we'll get rid of him, and we can
literally like throw him in the fucking river, did they?
It wasn't that running. No, it was.
Of.
I don't know where he went actually. Jean-Marc Ferry, I think his name was, and he then wasn't going to play anymore for the rest of the season. And Eric comes in, and he plays. He plays for Bordeaux. So
that swagger.
He was a young pretender, but you could see he had an arrogance, he had a confidence in his ability.
Been what age? 18, 19?
Yeah, it was about 2 years before he came to England. But the craziest thing was, in the French Cup, you play at a neutral ground in the third round or the first round of the French Cup. You play at a neutral ground that is nearest to the lesser team. So we play at Beauvais in northern France against this side, third division side. We draw 1-1 at normal time, goes to extra time, goes to penalties. So bearing in mind, I played for Bordeaux in Paris and missed a penalty. Joel Batts, unbelievable. I have to describe it. Unbelievable save, top corner.
Right. Was it? He got in his target when it's an unbelievable save.
Yeah, it was.
Banks-esque.
Oh, it was better than that. Right. He plucks it out the top corner. We draw in Paris. Return back to Bordeaux the following morning. Get the call to the president's office. The president says, because it's like the end of the world. Bordeaux have drawn with Paris, and like, you should have scored the winning goal with a penalty. Well, Mr. President, I'm sorry. You must go away. 3 times he did it that year in Bordeaux. You must go away. Well, what do you mean I must go away? I'll explain why it was happening. Well, where have I got to go? Just go back to England and find yourself a team, right? Okay, fine.
Oh, so it doesn't mean go away from the office. He meant go away from the country.
The club. Go away from the club, right? So bearing in mind this had happened 3 times through the season, and basically what came to light a number of years later was that he's trading players in and out every season, but taking out of every transfer, Claude Bez, right? So we played a cup game, Eric's playing, we go to penalties, the lads are in the little huddle, so Jacquet comes out, who's going to take a penalty? So I'll take one. Jasper Olsen, I'll take one. The lads look at me. You take a penalty? Oh yeah. Well, you missed in Paris. I still got the Arsenal. I'll take it. That's not Paris.
I still don't like to score a penalty because I've missed.
So I take the penalty score. Yes, but we end up. It's all level. 4 each, 5 penalties. Eric comes up. So it's been pissing down with rain. It's a muddy pitch, horrible pitch. It's like an amateur ground up Beauvais up in northern France. So with that, he runs up. He stubs the penalty. Right, the goalkeeper's dived. He's gone. The goal is gone. He doesn't cross the line. He sticks in the mud. Right.
Oh, she's gone for the what?
He's gone for Panenka. Right.
Yeah.
The old.
I've seen.
But
this one.
he stubbed it. It doesn't cross the goal line. Absolute pandemonium. It's all gone off. The Bordeaux, all the officials are they're going mad.
At Cantona.
At Cantona. What are you doing? He walks in. Seriously, we end up we're back in the dressing room. He walks in.
She lost the penalty shootout.
We lost. They score. We go out. Right. Walks in. He takes his shirt off, puts his shirt on the peg, puts his travel tracksuit on, goes and gets on the bus. That was the last time he played in French football. And then he comes to England.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yes. That was Eric.
So I can imagine
Just
it.
completely unfazed.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Is that
tracksuit on, collar up.
Is
on
it?
the bus.
Is it arrogance or confidence? You think?
It's just
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Yeah. A little bit of both. But then, ironically, when he turns up at Leeds, he's walking in as I'm getting off the bus as a West Ham player, having just been signed by West Ham from Chelsea. And as I walk in, I bump into him. He walks past, and he goes, "Clive, what are you doing?" So it's like because he's thinking the week before I was a Chelsea player, I'm now West Ham, and I was suspended for the game because I'd got sent off for Chelsea before I went to West Ham, so I couldn't play, but I travelled with the team. So I get off the bus, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're playing for West Ham?" Like, yeah, but I'm suspended. I can't play. And like one of those. And Eric was a Leeds player. That was the last time. Yeah, amazing. How,
So I wonder if he knew that he was going to get fucked off. Has he just walked out and basically expected the phone call from the
I
chairman?
don't know if he knew he was going to get fucked off or he was getting a move.
Yeah.
Not. It was. Not.
He was going to have to. He wasn't going to play football in France again, and he knew and obviously he actually went to Sheffield Wednesday. Yeah. He trained at Sheffield Wednesday for a week.
Like a trial?
Yeah, like a trial before he went to Leeds. Before they took him at Leeds.
So who were the manager at Leeds? Howard
Wilkinson. Wilkinson. Trevor Francis was the manager at Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, Trevor.
Yeah, but they say that the weather. It was a really bad week of weather. And he couldn't. They couldn't put games on or couldn't train because it was snow or whatever it was. So he was there for a week, but really didn't do much, or they didn't see much of him, and decided no, they weren't going to take him. But he then went to Leeds, and he become obviously the rest is history. But yeah, so quite an experience with Eric, Mr. Cantona.
Brilliant, man.
Really nice bloke though.
Yeah, he was.
In the dressing room, I don't.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a character. Yeah.
Because you have a bit of crack with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you go abroad, obviously you've got. I can imagine you. In England, your crack is when Thursday morning you talk about the Tuesday night, and if you're not being out.
You're going to talk about shagging, aren't you?
No, I'm not talking about shagging. No, I'm talking about boozing and that. I'm talking about boozing. You're on a Thursday morning.
Listen, the French boys, they all had a wife and a girlfriend, so there was no talking about. But the funny thing was when you say about the banter. So I went and because I'd signed in the April, a couple of months before I went, so I tried with it French because I'm going abroad, I'm going to learn the language. So I go from day one. I spoke French, tried to speak French. I wasn't speaking French. I tried to speak French, and they all carried on. The French boys carried on. So when Jasper arrives in the January, which was like the mid-season break, he walks in. I'd spoken to him a couple of days before he'd left Manchester to come over. And I said to him, I'll see you Monday. He said, yeah, no problem. So as I walk in, he's sitting in the corner of the dressing room. I went, all right, Jasper, how you doing? Yeah, good. There's 6 of the French boys speaking perfect English to him. Right? So I walked in and I thought...
And you've been there how long?
6 months. Right? So I've gone... Hold on a minute, what the fuck's going on here? Right? So Jasper, he's pissing himself. He's gone, he said, I speak English, I speak Danish, I speak German, I don't speak French. He said, I told them, they want to speak to me, any language, but not French. I don't speak French. The guy, Eric the Milner, lived across the road from where we were living. There was 2 or 3 of us in a cul-de-sac. His missus was an English teacher at the school. He spoke perfect English. Not once had he muttered a word of English to me. So I've gone, bastards, right? So they've gone, as the French boys do.
You're asking him, where's the toilet?
Yeah.
Like thinking...
As the French boys do, they went, but Clive, you wanted to speak French. Seriously. I'm like, bastards.
So you could have had 6 months of a bit of crack in dressing room in English, and you've ended up...
And I'm trying, but it was great. It was good. Dressing rooms are the same. You know what dressing rooms are like.
Even the foreign ones?
Yes, yeah, they were the same. There was there was the piss takers, there was the comedians, there was the quiet ones, the serious ones. Dressing rooms are the same. They're made up of the same sort of mix.
It must be harder to integrate into a foreign dressing room than it is if you sign for a football club in England, there's a good chance you're going to play 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah,
somebody who knows somebody. And the first day, Brownie says you're a good lad.
Yeah. That's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah. Then you're in, and then your first night out, boom, then you are in.
I bet I've never seen anything like you before if you rocked over. I've never seen anything like you.
No, but nobody would sign us in France, would they?
I don't know. I think they
Typical English centre forward.
Yeah. Cass done well. Cascarino did well. They loved him in France.
Did he play for Marseille?
He played for Marseille, yeah.
That's a bit of me football knowledge, that, by the way.
Yeah, very good.
But minimal.
No, they had an appreciation of obviously whatever your skill set was, how you worked, and they thought I was Bernard Lacombe, a typical English centre forward. I wasn't.
that probably that's a little bit similar to when I signed for Fleetwood and I was Jamie Vardy's replacement.
Every week.
That's his go-to.
Mickey Mellon. Mickey
Mellon. Oh, right.
So Fleetwood. Have I spoke about this before? Remember,
every week.
But the salt Jamie Vardy's left here and I was his replacement.
That's staying in, by the way.
Very similar players.
Pace, yeah.
In behind.
Same punchline as well.
Brilliant.
My memory's terrible, lads. Fucking gives a break, will ya?
Going right back, well, not right back, but going back to obviously signing for Tottenham, that must have been a proud moment for you. Were you a Tottenham fan? Obviously, your dad.
Well, I grew up with QPR because Dad was playing there, then player manager there. My grandfather took me to watch Dad play when I was 6, so I was in and around and grew up at QPR. But I think Dad used to take me to Tottenham, and when he took me, obviously people was talking to him, son of Les, which was a nickname I got through my career as well. Son of Les, and like, if you're after player, your dad was. I've heard that so many times. You'll be a player. So I had that in my head, but no, I just felt that it was my destiny that one day, hopefully, that I'd play there. Peter Reid was a manager, and his sales pitch was Clive, because I'd trained there as a schoolboy, and Peter was a coach there. And in '84, when I went there, he called up and said, Clive, he said, I think you know where the ground is. I'll see you in the morning. And that was it.
That's all you needed.
And on the Thursday morning, I pitched up at White Lane, and so no negotiations about contract. The contract was there's your contract,
Give me a pen.
and I signed it.
But could you think you could have had the negotiations, or
Possibly, but it never entered my mind, and I was obviously at QPR. I went to Spurs. It was a better contract, so I think I wanted to go there, and it was
so
like
it could have been £2 a week more.
Yeah,
and
I
that
would
still
have
been fine.
Yeah, I'd have signed there. So
How was it walking in that dressing room? Obviously,
well, I knew a lot of the players. I played with a few at like junior youth levels and different things like that. Played against them, played with them, and
That helps, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like you say, you knew one or two faces, and it was like, you know, it was a natural progression. There was, and I think by '84, I'd had a few transfers. I've been in and out of clubs, and it was like, yeah, it's always a day or so, and it probably a day, 2 days, and then this is how this works. You're up and away, and
Choose the fine list. Depending how keen the fine man is, the first thing is that's the fine list,
yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
and you start reading through it, and then you get a grasp
you know the do's and don'ts.
You get a grasp of how the dressing room is.
That's right.
Pissing in the shower. If that's on it, you know it's a bit of a prudish dressing room.
No flip-flops one. No flip-flops in the shower.
No flip-flops in the shower. Who wears do you wear flip-flops in the shower at your house? Who the fucking hell wears flip-flops
See,
in
in
the shower?
France, you had to. If you didn't wear them, fine. They were really hot on the fines. And the difference there, the biggest difference there in France was the goalkeeper, and you'll love this. So, international goalkeeper, Dominic Dropsy. Seriously, great goalkeeper, Dominic Dropsy. He can't be called.
He's going to change. He's going to change.
Look it up. Dominic Dropsy was a goalie.
Getting some stick from the stands.
He was a scream. He was a mad goalkeeper, a really good goalkeeper, but mad. But he used to do the fines, and you were fined. When I say you were fined for, when you say you look at a fine list, you were fined for everything, like a second late, a minute late. If it was away, you're travelling away in your navy tracksuit, white t-shirt, blue socks, and then the next game it was blue t-shirt, white socks, and if you got it wrong, fine. Jean-Marc Ferry, every Friday, he'd get the list. Like he owes 100 francs, 150 francs. So
you imagine when you walk in, you got blue socks on a white top, and everybody else is blue top. Like, oh god!
Yeah.
It's still like that now, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but so then I says to Tigana, I says, John, what do they do with the fines? He said, we have a meal at the end of the season. Something, we're having a night out.
Yeah, well.
No, best restaurant in Bordeaux, best wine, best food, and the players sit down, like sensible, really sensible, proper.
Oh, sounds
a bit
Seriously,
like
dressed up, proper, and the la-di-das, cigar, glass, really good wine. They spend it on the nowadays it goes.
They ain't going
Jerry
Magaluf, are they?
No, exactly.
This is a French Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're sitting just having the 5 course. Fuck that.
They don't call it snap.
Yeah.
But that's what they did with the fines. And I always laugh because Dominic was a really good guy, but you can't be called drops.
No,
just
just play right back.
It's not even his fault either, is it? You can't do anything about it.
He knew what it meant, because I said to him, Dominic, you're goalkeeper, and he laughed. He was like, yeah, I know. So,
just play right back, Dominic.
yeah.
Glenn Adel, Chris Waddle.
Oh, we had a team.
Unbelievable team.
Yeah, we had a great team. Yeah.
Oddie had it.
Oddie.
Oddie, not Bill. It's not Bill. Not the Birdman. Bill, is it?
Yeah, no, we had a great team. Richard Goff joined us. He came in from Rangers. Great centre half. Ray Clements in goal. Yeah, it was a. Listen, we've all said it. We should have won something. We were, especially in
86, 87.
87. Yeah.
Your season, pinnacle. I'd say your best season.
I think, and I still say it today. We were a team that we just played games that we felt we were going to outscore the opposition. Yeah. We'd let goals in, we'd let 2 in, but we'd score 3 or 4.
Belief.
A little bit like the Newcastle Keegan job.
Yes.
Well, we will let goals in it. We'll score enough.
Yeah, we'll score more than you, and that's the way we played this season. We went on all 3 fronts. ended up obviously, you know, we lost semi-final League Cup to Arsenal after 3 games, having never been behind until the 92nd minute of the 3rd game.
Yeah.
They went on to beat Liverpool in the final, went to the FA Cup final, Coventry, which was just one of those days where I score in the 2nd minute and you think, this is it,
we've done it.
Going to win the FA Cup. It's like, and then they get one back. Mabsy scores, they get one back, and then Mabsy scores an own goal, and you think,
Gary Abbott.
Yeah, and it was one of those days.
Yeah.
So, and he left. Pleaty, the manager, David Pleat, he left me out 3 games before the end of the season, a away trip to Everton, and I was like, I got back by 47 goals. So obviously, I am going for 50. Although I'm saying I'm
in
not.
this season.
Yeah.
49 did you finish on?
I finished with 49.
47 goals in one season?
Yeah, I finished with 49. My goal in the cup final was the 49th, but I'm 47.
Sure.
We're playing Everton away, still with a chance of winning the league, and he says to me, I'm not. You're not travelling. I went, you are? He said, you're not travelling. He said, I'm going to play. He played youth team striker. Sean Close, his name was. I went, Gaffer, you're fucking kidding me. He went, no. He said, we've got the FA Cup final coming up. He said, I just don't want to risk it. What do you mean don't want to risk it? You're absolutely joking. And he didn't. He said, no, you're not travelling.
47. Yeah.
What? Mate, we've not scored that many in his careers, have we?
Jimmy Greaves' record?
47,
Well, Jimmy-
49 goals in one season.
Yeah, Jimmy's record was 46.
That's fucking Ballon d'Or tackle, there.
People rave about Ronaldo and Messi and that,
But the crazy thing was, as far as that, I got done for the Golden Boot that year. A Romanian got 3 hat-tricks in the last 3 games to beat me. Completely bent. Completely bent.
Just a general Romanian.
No, the
Agi.
Jimmy's record was 46, which I broke the semi-final at Villa Park, where I scored my 40. It was 47th, and then obviously the cup final goal 49th, and I scraped the bar in the second half.
Clive, I think you're playing this down here, right? 49 goals in one season.
Yeah, all competition. It was league. The horrible story. Say it's a horrible story. The League Cup record for the number of goals in one season was 12, which was Jeff Hurst and Rodney Marsh. And Rodney Marsh was playing with my dad in '67 at QPR, and he scored 12 goals in. They won the League Cup as a 3rd division team in '67.
Is that the Carling Cup now?
It's a League Cup, yeah. Milk Cup, Carling Cup. Well, I was 6 years of age, right, watching my dad playing the League Cup final in '67. They played West Bromwich Albion as a 3rd division side, QPR, and were 2-0 down at half time, and they won 3-2 in extra time, QPR, to win the first ever League Cup final at Wembley in '67. And Rodney Marsh scored 12 goals that season in that run. Jeff Hurst did it later on for West Ham. So that season, 86-87, we're playing Arsenal in the 3rd game of the semi-final, and I scored in each game, one at Highbury, one at Spurs, and then the 3rd game was back at Spurs. We won the toss, 3rd game neutral, we won it, we played at home. So 6 minutes before the end of the 3rd game, I score again, so I've scored 3, right? You know when things come back to you, right? Charlie Nicholas.
Ever read your book?
Charlie Nicholas, who was, and I always say it now, he's a sort of throwaway, who was our best player on the night. He was fucking useless. Turns his ankle, goes off. He goes off. Ian Allison comes on with his first touch in the 88th minute, scores an equaliser, right? So it's now 1-1 in the 3rd game. He scores an equaliser. 92nd minute, the late David Rocastle scores a free kick, 92nd minute, to win it 2-1. So they win the tie, go to Wembley. As I'm walking down the tunnel at White Hart Lane, this plonker gives me 2 bottles of champagne. He says, well done, you've broke the League Cup goal scoring record.
It's a good bit work begging.
Right. So he then goes, cameraman, smile, right? And I've got the picture.
You've just been beaten semi-final.
Right. I walked into the dressing room and the lads were crying. It was, you know, when you've been in dressing rooms where you've got bashed up, but this was like we've been in front over 3 games until the 92nd minute of the third, and we get done, and he gives me these two bottles of champagne, and I broke that, and I still hold that record to this day. 13 goals in the League Cup that season.
So they're in bits, and you walk in with 2 bottles
I
of
walked in
champagne.
with 2, like.
But what did you do with him?
It's all about timing, isn't it? What's he thinking?
Yeah.
49 goals in a season.
It must have. I mean, Jimmy Greaves, obviously, I imagine, was an idol for yourself.
Well, my dad,
and
he replaced my dad at Spurs. So Dad played in the 60-61 double side, best Tottenham team ever. 62, Jimmy Greaves arrives, and Dad said to me, he's the best goal scorer you'll ever see.
So then, when you're getting close to his record,
Yeah.
it must have.
Well, it was 10 games into that season, and I had 11 goals in the first 10 games. And St and Greasy, they used to do the TV show
On a Saturday,
Yeah.
That was my first memory of football.
Jimmy interviewed me, and obviously I knew him because he knew Dad, and he said, "You know what, son?" He said, "You could break my record." And I looked up, what record, Jim? He went, "My club record, 46 goals." He said, "You carry on like this." And I was like, "You kidding? Like, you're joking." Absolutely joking.
Jimmy Greaves saying this.
He said it, and that was after 10 games, and obviously I broke it in the semi-final. I broke the record, and then 49. Yeah,
49's a fucking
offside.
How many games will you have played then?
I played. I think it was about 60. I think.
So you pretty much won in every 1.1. I like to put my maths in. I'm not bad at maths, so I like to. Yeah. That's fucking.
That's another one that pops up every week.
But it was again. It was a team. You know, I played. It was just the way the team played. There was always going to be chances. I played up front on my own as well, which was that everybody thought, this is going to work. But the players we had a 5-man midfield, which no one had done at that time. And Glenn was a free player, and it just worked perfectly.
How many league goals was it then?
33. Yeah.
See, they give a trophy out. If you score 30 Premier League goals, you get a big golden boot, and not many people have done it, by the way.
Yeah, I do have a golden boot from that year.
Did anybody come close?
To 49?
To 30,
33.
Who was the nearest pursuer? Who was second on the...
Russia, I think.
It's mad, isn't it?
Russia.
You
say it's so blasé. Yeah, Russia. You know that dickhead from Liverpool with Tash.
Yeah, he was some goal scorer. He really was.
Who was the best player you played with?
Maradona.
Oh no, that's not on the notes. That's not on the notes, is it?
Thanks for the memories.
You have to read the book, because it was Ozzy's testimonial. We're playing Inter Milan at White Hart Lane on a Monday night. So he plays in Italy for Napoli on the Sunday. So everybody's going, and Ozzy's like, it's sort of rumoured that he's going to come and play, and they're going, no, he's not fucking coming. He's not.
It's Maradona.
He's the best player in the world. He's not going to play. Monday night, honestly, White Hart Lane is rammed, absolutely rammed.
Is that because it was Ozzy's thing? Or
it was Ozzy, definitely, because it was Ozzy.
Even if
they loved him, idolised him, absolutely fantastic. So with that, dressing room door comes, he walks, and when I say this little bloke, Maradona, right? And you've been in dressing rooms, you know what lads are, and lads are like, fucking hell.
Sometimes there's people who comes in the dressing room and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah. So he walks in, great lad, right? Talking, saying hello to everybody. But so with that, half an hour before the game, Ozzy, and he's English, which is still the same now, he's broken English, says, anyone boots 6.5? So lads are looking at what? Diego needs a pair of boots. Right?
He's forgot his fucking boots.
Best player in the world. So I've got 2 pairs of boots, 6.5. I'm 6.5. So Diego, I've got a new pair, which I've worn one night, trying to break him in, and the pair I've worn all season. So he comes over. So I said, Diego, please be my guest. So I give him the new pair of boots. So he went, no. He wants.
I can't even tell that old man fucking Maradona to wear your boots.
Eventually, I persuade him and Ozzy, and he wears the new ones. He wears the boots, so he wears my boots.
Did he have a shocker?
No, honestly, him and Hod and I. You know, you're playing a game, and I would say, probably as a professional, it was one of the only games I was a spectator. I'm playing the game, but I'm like, fuck's sake, like, give him the ball.
Do you know when you say it was a testimonial? They always start slow, don't they? Does it get to the point where it got quite competitive?
Well, it did, because we played Milan, Inter, and they obviously Maradona, Napoli. So the Italian boys were not. It was no testimonial.
No friendly.
They
Proper
wanted
game,
to kick him, like.
right? But him and Diego and Glenn were playing on another planet. Honestly, just
see them two together.
right. And it was like, you literally, if you got the ball, you would like, fuck, there you go. Go
Yeah.
on. What can you do now? What can you
Sit
do now?
back.
Honestly, they were both both on another level, and it was incredible, absolutely incredible.
So you know,
Did you get your boots back?
I did get my boots back, and I did get them signed. Got them signed.
You still got them?
Well,
Everybody
Clive.
asked that, and they go,
Right.
"Have you still got them?" Yeah. What are you going to do with them? I said, "Have my pension."
So you know when you say like how incredible Maradona were compared to players now, do you think Maradona were better than Messi and Ronaldo and all that? Not they often
yes.
talk football, is
I
it?
know.
Yeah. Yes.
But we're talking about
Because
potentially
he-
the best
he-
five players in the
He
world.
carried Napoli to the Scudetto. He won the World Cup for Argentina. Messi hasn't done that. Messi, obviously, Messi's one of the best I've ever seen. There's no doubt about that. But he was something else. Seriously, something else. Yeah.
I think from our era, we've not really seen enough of him to comment, have we?
Yeah.
He was.
You watch the footage.
The best for me is Pele, because when he got his cracked rib, mate, and escaped to victory, and he scored that he's the best for me.
Ozzy was playing in that.
Yeah.
So obviously later on you come back Man City, then Chelsea. And, well, who was at Chelsea? Vinnie Jones. And
Yeah, little Wisey, Dennis Wise.
Dennis Wise.
Yeah,
Oh.
Wisey was there.
He's on our shit
Andy
list.
Townsend, and obviously Vinny, who was a character. The way I'd always describe Vinny is he knew exactly what he was capable of doing, and he used, he played to his strengths.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Even if his strengths were quite basic.
Yeah, absolutely.
we've heard a few tales that he liked the limelight in terms of making the headlines.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because my story about Vinny at Chelsea was, you know what it's like in a dressing room. So Vinny was one of those that he was everyone's friend. He was always, I'm Vinny. So in the mornings,
I'm Vinny.
he'd come in, and we were at Harlington then, which was a really basic training ground. One treatment table in cold dressing rooms at Harlington. There was like 12 dressing rooms. First team were in one. Come in the morning, and he'd bring the papers and the biscuits, so we could have a cup of tea and biscuits. So as the apprentices come in, he'd clip them round the ear as he would, Morning, Vinny boy, don't forget. Right. Pot of tea for the boys. So as they come back with a pot of tea, he's always going, look, this is how it works. You get the biscuits for the boys, you get the papers. He says, by the way, have you seen this? So the lad's gone, what's that? He said, none of your back page crap. He said, look. So he flipped the paper over, turned it one page. He said, that's when you know you've made it. So he said, don't forget.
He's not got his fucking tits out on page 3,
It was like he's in the paper inside, not on the sports page. He says inside. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly where he was going.
Yeah.
But he was I would say he was a good pro. He was.
What had he done to get in the?
I can't remember what it was, but he made sure the apprentices knew, and he
Yeah,
made sure
everybody
we all
else
knew
knew,
as well.
yeah.
Yeah. But that was Vinny, and he was a great character.
Yeah.
He really was.
I can't remember who we spoke about it before with, but saying that he was almost setting up for the career that he's had
Absolutely.
after football.
Yeah. It was everything that his football career was what it was, and he was making the most of that. But he was channeling himself, and he was getting to where he wanted to be. There was no doubt.
I think it was
about that.
even to the point of, if he hadn't been in the headlines for a month or so, he'd just go and get sent off.
Yeah, he'd make something happen. Yeah, definitely.
And just
yeah.
It's good.
Get
It's
ahead,
good.
mate.
It's good.
Fair
for
play.
him. If he's got a PR man, it's fucking good work. He's done well for him, hasn't he?
And now he's on X Factor.
That's
Is
right.
he?
Singing.
I'm not sure if
can't
I'm not
sing.
sure if that's his.
He can't sing.
What's
Sorry, Vinny, but he can't sing. Even in the showers, he can't sing.
Singing.
I'm not sure if that's the career path that he went to just be on X Factor. He's done fucking 110 films or something, but he got on X Factor, so fair play, but it all worked.
He's made it, hasn't he?
It all worked.
Yeah, so that was interesting time. It was at Chelsea as well at that time where Ken Bates was the chairman, and Chelsea were on the brink, and
Going under.
it is rumoured that right at that time, and I left to go to West Ham, and the day that I left to go to West Ham, they sold Jason Cundy to Spurs for 750 grand. They sold me to West Ham for 250 grand, and Kevin Wilson to Notts County. And they say that the money raised that day actually stopped the banks foreclosing on Chelsea and Ken Bates. It's all rumour, but it was a really pivotal time for Chelsea Football Club at that time. And then obviously the rest is history. A few years later, Abramovich comes and buys it off of Ken. And
There must be some record there for you playing for London clubs. Like, I can't imagine there's many other players that play for Arsenal, Tottenham, West Ham, Crystal Palace.
see if he gets them all. I bet he don't
Yeah.
get them all.
Chelsea.
Hold on a minute. Millwall.
Yeah.
Still missing one.
Am I? I'm reading it. I can't.
QPR,
QPR. There we go.
my first club. Yeah, QPR,
So
Arsenal, Crystal Palace.
We started at fucking QPR. and you
But
still forgot the
what I say, obviously nowadays, a lot of players, they go on loan, they go and play. You know, Harry Kane's been to a lot of clubs as a loan player, but I was actually bought and sold, so I was contracted. I was, it was a permanent transfer.
So these were actual deals.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
such.
So I did. As a family, we've. I think Fulham's perhaps the only London club that we haven't had an association with. My uncle, my brother played at Charlton. My dad and I played at Chelsea. I played with Martin at West Ham. Paul played at West Ham and Spurs. So as a family, we've just about covered every single London club over the years.
Never fancy going up north or what?
Yeah, I did go north. I came
like
back
it
from
at
France.
City?
I come back from France to City, and I love my time in Manchester. I love City as a football club. I think the supporters were really passionate about their football club. I enjoyed my time. I didn't play enough there, if I'm honest. I would have loved to play more games than I did, but I had a good time there.
Talking about like old school football of players that we've had stories about. You've got Peter Reid, Jerry Taggart, and Gary Megson all in the same dressing room.
Yeah, I was
Good
in that
trio,
dressing
innit?
room. I was in that dressing room. And when Reedy, the funny one is with Gary Megson, when Reedy told me to go away, like Claude Besdy's in France, when Reedy said, you can go, and I said, I'm not going anywhere, and he sent me the other side of Manchester to train with the kids, and those kids were like Paul Lake, Andy Inchcliffe, all those young players emerging. I, as a senior player, I trained with them for 10 weeks, and then they had a flu epidemic and injury crisis, and I got the call. So I got the call to come and play for the first team, back in the first team. And it wasn't Reedy who called me, it was Sam, his assistant. So it was Friday. He said, Clive, I said, I didn't know it was. Clive, he said, bring your gear. We're at Main Road tomorrow training. We've got Notts County away on Sunday in the FA Cup. I said, okay. So he said, don't be late. Make sure you're there. Bring your overnight stuff. So of course I'll pitch up in the dressing room. As we run out, there's Colin Hendry. There's a few of the boys. The Everton connection that certainly arrived at City when I was there. Gary Megson. So Maggie's waiting as Reedy comes out, who's player manager, coming out to train. He went, Gaffer, who's a new player? Cool.
Meg once said that. I told you you were a funny fucking Meg.
49 goals! 49 goals in a season. Who's the new player?
Who's the new lad? Right. So of course Reedy's not happy with him. So unfortunately he makes a big mistake really. He puts me on the bench for the game the following day, Sunday. So with that, and I hold my hands up now, it's something I've never done before, but every time I was up to warm up, I'm towards the City supporters at that end, left hand side. So of course they're cheering, whatever. So I go on, first touch I score, my first touch, as I come on as sub, score with my first touch. 2 minutes later, go through, get brought down, penalty, right? So with that, as I've gone down, I've picked the ball up and I look back, Steve Redmond, young centre half, coming up to take the penalty. No, it's all right, Redo, I'll take it. Reid is playing, right? So he's standing on the halfway line with his hands on his knees, looking at me, absolutely like eyeballing me.
Is you want him to
like,
miss?
No, he's like, and I've gone, it's all right, Stevie, I'll take this. Because Reid is looking at me as if saying, you bastard, you're not going to take it. And I've turned round, I've taken it, scored, I've gone up the fence, I've gone onto the fence, I'm kissing the badge. all the lads are over, aren't they? All the lads are over. They're like, God, they're all like, yeah, well, that was great. So with that, as I turn around, Reid is still on the halfway line. He's like, you can see he's growling, right? We win the game. We go in the dressing room after. As I walk in, all the lads, well done. Reid's not said a word. So as I come out of the dressing room, you can imagine all the press away. Oh, Clive, where have you been for the last 10 weeks? Have you been injured? No. Well, what's been happening? I think you better ask the manager. Right.
See, so I've been fucking training with the kids.
Right. So with that, I've got on the bus and gone, it must have been about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I get there, I want to see you in the office. Right, reading. So I go main road, go in the office. So he's there. He's got all the papers spread across the desk. Of course, he's got, the manager's like, I've trained with the kids and all this. They've found out what's happened. What the fuck's this? I've gone, well, it's the truth. He's gone, so I'm turned to walk back out of the office. He's gone, where the fuck are you going? I said, well, I'm going back over to train with the kids. And they trained at a different training ground to the first team. He said, no, you're fucking not. He says, get yourself round to Platt Lane. He said, you're playing Tuesday night in the the League Cup. It was a League Cup. So I went, what? He said, you're fucking starting. Right?
For a gritted teeth.
Right? So
I'm fucking starting Tuesday. I've got to fucking start you.
Right? So this was the fallout with Reid, brilliant. And then years later, I worked with him numerous times in media.
I would never have had Reid as down as.
But he's a very young manager. It was early days of his manager, and he said that. He said that to me. He said, look, he said. It happened, and I was like, absolutely, it's football.
Yeah.
But at Notts County, I was brilliant.
He must have been I missed this fucking penalty.
Listen, I spoke to him about. It's all in the book, and we spoke to him about it, and he was like, no, it wasn't like that. It was like, yes, it was.
He got a different version of events?
Did he turn the table?
Yeah. He's good.
But even on that note, even as you're starting out as a manager, you've still got to learn your way through it.
Yeah.
Was it because he didn't rate you as a player?
Possibly, yeah.
Was there a personality difference as well?
I think the thing was, obviously, I'd sort of been in and out with Howard, and he was Howard's assistant when Howard was manager before he left, before Reid took over. And then I think the thing was he was trying to make his mark. He was trying to make,
You similar age?
He's a lot older than me.
How old is he?
I don't know how Reid is.
105.
But the crazy thing is, as I say it now, we actually see the game very similar. We talk about players now, and we like same players, the same type of thing, the way teams play, and so we get on really well. It's amazing that happened all those years ago, and we now it's like we have a laugh, we have a chuckle about it now.
Did you actually like at the time think, what a fucking dickhead this is?
Yeah, I was like, well, fuck you, I'm off.
Yeah. There's ways to get people out of clubs.
Yeah, that's right.
And chucking in with kids, other side of Manchester.
Yeah, and he said that as well. Since it wasn't the right way. And he might well have learned from that and not done it again. I'm sure, or whatever. But football is great.
What was your best time in coaching? Was it with Harry? Is that the time you were enjoying it? Obviously, well, it's got to be at Champions League, Tottenham.
Fantastic.
Your club.
Yeah, the whole experience. Obviously, we got the result at City to finish and make Champions League, and then the playoff game. We played young boys from Switzerland, got through to the group stages, then got through the group stages. But we had some players, obviously, when you got the likes of Modric, you got Gareth Bale, who come of age. The Inter Milan game was just absolutely unbelievable. We're losing going in the dressing room, and Harry was shaking. It's like, right, and we go into the coach's room as he used to do, a couple of minutes, let the boys settle down, he'd come in and he's just let rip. Like, this is embarrassing. We're going to get done 8. We're going to get done 10. We were a man down. We were struggling. And Gareth just went out and just, like, obviously we lose the game. I think it's 4-3, and he scored a hat trick, and it was just it was like, wow, this kid can, what this kid can't do.
Could you see it from?
You saw it. Yeah, you saw. Not when he first arrived. He arrived, and I said it. He arrived as a kid. He was a baby. He really was.
But I played against him.
Remember when we played Tottenham in the League Cup when we were at Preston?
Yes.
I don't know if you were there, yeah. And it was 5-1, and Jermaine Defoe was playing. I think Bale was playing left back.
Yeah.
And Jermaine Defoe's come off the pitch and just all he did was talk about Gareth Bale, how bad he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
How bad he was.
Yeah.
Said he was a disgrace.
The thing for me was, Gomez.
Aurelio. Yeah.
He threw it, right? He threw it over the halfway line, and I'm like that. How the fucking hell has he done that? That's outrageous.
Yeah.
But when you think of how good, obviously, the career Gareth Bale's had, the only thing that Jermaine Defoe did, they were winning 4-0 or something. It was ridiculous. He should come off and went, he's a fucking disgrace, or something like
Why?
that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I played against Gareth Bale he was at Southampton when I was at Stoke, and he was this fucking weird little left back.
Yeah.
He was like
he was a kid. He was a baby. He was.
He was like a fucking twiglet.
But you're right, because what happened when he came to us was that's exactly how he was. And what we found was he was playing for Southampton, but he wasn't training. So basically he'd play, they'd wrap him up in cotton wool, he'd be in the treatment room, he'd have a little bruise here or a hamstring there or whatever it was.
Keeping him fit to sell on.
Well, he wasn't training. Basically, he wasn't training, but they just literally rolled him out from game to game, and he had a natural. He was a natural athlete. He was an athlete, but he was a baby. Like you say. So he comes to us. He was fragile. He really.
And how
was.
much did you pay for him?
I don't know, because we thought he was going to Man United, and then we managed to sign him. So I don't know what the finances were, but what happened was, because he come to us, he's left home, so he's left mum, and he was a mummy's boy. He's he's living on his own, and he basically, you know what the sports scientists are like. They're all trying to get him going. Whatever. He ends up.
That's wrong.
But he starts. He didn't want to go home to an empty flat in the afternoon, so he stays in the club. He's in the gym. Sports sciences are getting into him. Right, we can make you stronger. All of a sudden, he's gone from this, like you say, he's gone from this stickhead to he's gone like this, right? He's spending more time on himself. He starts training every day regularly. So he's gone like this, and he could play. We've
heard from other players as well about not having, in a foreign city, if you were if in London, doesn't know anybody. It's quite easy to go in the pub with the lads or start.
Yeah.
And he decided to stay training.
Well, but he started training.
Probably call him busy.
He started but he started training regularly. He become an athlete, and then in training, and the players that we had, like the Defoes, Modric, those players, and he'd do things. When you're in a session and someone does something, and the players go, "Wow, did he just do that?"
Yeah.
And like Modric. Fucking hell. It might just be one little thing. Yeah, where he'd let the ball run his spin, and he was so quick. That was the one thing.
I think that's the.
And they went, wow. And then
was that right? I don't know if you were at the club when they were going to.
He was
going to the Forest.
He was going.
So from your point of view, did you just think one of them players that he's got ability, but he's never going to be good enough to make it?
Well, you didn't know that he could fulfil that potential. That was the thing. And he played numerous reserve games for us, and you're looking at him and you think, and Harry was like,
were he not great in the reserves then, or was he great?
There was glimpses, there was little bits, but he wasn't one of those that you think, wow, he's like,
Like Taarabt.
yeah, he didn't do that. He didn't do in the reserve games what he did in the first team, where he obviously he blew Inter away. He didn't have performances like that. There were moments, but I'm not saying he wasn't trying, but he wasn't flat to the boards in the reserve games.
Would you say it's the hard work that's got him where he is?
Oh, definitely, absolutely, yeah.
He's
And then he's got incredible natural ability. As an athlete, he's like, you know.
But by focusing in on being an athlete, that
Yeah.
focuses in on your natural ability.
Yeah,
I would say he's more. I've obviously never worked with him. I would say he's more of an athlete than he is a talented footballer.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I would say.
So do you know, like Taarabt?
Yeah.
Is an absolute.
Oh,
talent,
he's a technician. Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I imagine Taarabt's got more ability than Gareth Bale.
Technical ability. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That might sound a bit daft, really.
But
with Gareth.
Taarabt was the worst athlete.
Yeah.
So Gareth's athleticism just made him. Well, took him
Well,
to
you
another
can
level.
if you can run past any fucker, right, you've
Yeah.
half a chance. Ain't you?
Yeah, that's right. And
Really?
then he had a bit. Then he had skill. He had he's a wand of a left foot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he could jump and head the ball like spring. Amazing.
Even when you see the Undr Club and Gareth Bale's putting an assist in, he's still like this little frail kid, isn't he?
He's all ears, isn't he?
Yeah. It's just fucking.
That's all he is.
I didn't get the laugh he deserved then, sorry.
But he's.
I'm pleased you heard it.
But he
Where all he is, or you are.
to be fair, he has done it because obviously going to Madrid, you think he come to us and you see how he developed with us at Spurs. To go to Madrid, and you're thinking like that, it's the highest level.
Were you surprised? I suppose
No.
it's difficult,
No,
isn't it?
he
Because
was-
of the
he was
progression, it was over time,
because
wasn't it? Yeah.
because
But I mean,
because he
talking
was,
about-
you're not surprised because you knew he was special.
Yeah.
That he could do, not that he was
But
special.
day
He
one,
could do
day
special
one coming in
things.
from Southampton, I bet you were surprised if someone was going to say to you he's going to Real Madrid.
Oh yeah,
I
no.
tried to get rid of him
Yeah.
at the Forest. He was
Yeah,
going
that's
to
what I
Forest.
mean.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's
The-
right. Yeah.
The progression
Listen,
and the difference.
I'll mind up now. Harry Kane coming in as a 16-year-old. Harry's never doing what he's done.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But
I Redknapp will be on to you saying, you remember what you said about him? You said he'd never make it.
So he was there when Redknapp was manager. Was he? Well, was he
Who?
too young?
Gareth.
Kane.
yeah, Harry Kane. Yeah.
How old was he
Yeah.
then? Because
It was his first. He came in from school as an academy player. Yeah.
so he's probably too
Yeah.
young to progress to the first.
Yes.
team.
Yeah. He was sort
But
of.
he never done great when he went on loan anyway,
No.
did he?
No.
So do you know if you're a club, right, and you say, right, we've got Harry Kane, we'll send him to Leyton Orient.
He went to Orient. He went to Norwich. He went all over Millwall. He went.
And he's not done great at them clubs.
Yeah.
So he's coming back into Tottenham. You're like, well, he's just had a fucking shit month at Millwall.
Yeah, but what he did, he honestly, he worked at every aspect of his game, everything. He improved everything, and he's got an unbelievable attitude to his work, to improving himself all the time.
So do you think that's kind of a
I think
Tottenham
it's brilliant.
philosophy then? That they've distilled that into players working to become
There, obviously,
world class?
yeah. There's the opportunities there. They teach them that they've got that. They do try to keep them as grounded as possible, but it comes down to him. He had this desire, and he had the belief as well. And he was out there, and he had a terrible habit. He just kept scoring goals. Seriously, no, he did.
There's two goal scorers around this table. There's one goal scorer who had the same bad habit of not fucking scoring them.
I'm pleased you laughed.
But no, he did. That's what he did. And as a youth team player, you know what it's like. I'm reserve team coach, youth team player. He plays. You go and watch him. Quiet game, 0-0. All of a sudden, ball drops. Who's it drop? Boom, Harry Kane, 1-0. Right. So then they go away. Obviously, they play away the next week. Academy manager comes back. Alex, who played well, normal sort of who played well. Whoever it might be. It might have been Smith. right back or whatever, Corker, centre half, and what was the score? Oh, we won 3-2. Who scored? Harry Kane 2. And whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, so the following week you're at home, you go down and watch them again, the game's quiet, all of a sudden, who's playing well? Yeah, you're watching the ball drop, bank, goal. Oh, who's that? Oh, Harry Kane. He hasn't had a kick and he scores.
Yeah.
But whatever level he went to, he did the same every time. He did the same thing. He wasn't, and but in that time as well, he improved himself. Everything, every aspect of his game, he improved.
Yeah. I think I know you're pressed for time. Before we finish, we've got to ask about this NFL. I know you've probably talked about it a million times.
Is that true?
But how on earth did you go from a football playing career to was it a kick?
I kicked for the London Monarchs in NFL Europe. Yeah. So I'm working at.
Was you into it beforehand?
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it in Channel 4 when it first came on the telly way back in the 80s, and I think watching the game, I always thought, well, if there was something I could do, probably I might be able to be a kicker, but obviously wasn't exceptionally quick to be a wide receiver or whatever it might be, running back.
Were you
whatever.
interested in NFL to watch it? And
I just watched it. I just loved watching it. So then I'm working at Sky. Sky were covering NFL Europe, and a guy by the name of Oliver Luck calls me, who's the president of NFL Europe. So he calls me up. Clive, it's Oliver Luck. I'm president of NFL Europe. We want you to kick for the Monarchs. And I'm like, what? Who is it? Someone's winding me up at Sky. One of the boys. 5 minutes later, he's like, no, genuinely, I'm Oliver Luck. I'm the president. So,
Oliver Luck?
Oliver Luck. His son is Andrew Luck, who's one of the biggest quarterbacks in NFL. He just retired 2 months ago. His son. And Oliver in his day was a big quarterback. I didn't know, but he was a big quarterback. So anyway, he says, we want
quarterback, the thrower?
Yeah, the main man.
The main man.
So his dad was, and Andrew Luck's been a big quarterback until he's actually retired because of injury and concussion and all sorts of problems at 29. It's been a big story in NFL last 3 months ago. Anyway, so his dad trying to talk me into kicking for the Monarchs. So I said, look, I'd love to, but I don't think this is for real. He said, and then he's like, this is for real. He said, we've got 7 teams in Europe, one of which is London. We want a national kicker with each team. Okay, fine. So I said, I tell you what, if I can try, I'll try. I said, but if I'm not comfortable with it, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to mug myself off. So he said, Clive, it's no problem. So I said, what do you mean it's no problem? He said, it's no problem. He said, we'll send you to Miami to a kicking coach from the Miami Dolphins. So I said, okay, fine. He said, we'll fly you out there.
We'll have an holiday out of it.
Yeah,
Minimum.
We'll fly you out there. He said, a guy by the name of Doug Blevins will meet you. You're going to love this, right? So I've gone, Doug Blevins? He said, yeah, Doug Blevins, kicking coach, Miami Dolphins. He basically will teach you. So, okay, fine. So get on the plane. Day before I leave, he rings me. So he said, Clive, it's Oliver. He said, all good. He said, it's all arranged. Doug will meet you at Miami Rivals when you get off the plane. So I said, great. So he said, don't be alarmed. He said, he'll be on his scooter, right?
You're going to back.
Right. So I said, he'll be on his what? He said, he'll be on his little bike.
Moped scooter.
Scooter. Little, right? So, okay, fine, right? So I'm thinking, I've been set up here, massively been set up. Right? So I fly into Miami, but get off the plane, walk through Rivals. As I walk through Rivals, Doug Blevins comes round on his little bike. He's a paraplegic. He's on this little. He comes round the corner. Hi, Clive. Doug Blevins. Nice to meet you. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm thinking, oh my God, what have I done? He says, follow me. So.
And he's your coach. He's your kicking coach.
Seriously, he's the kicking coach for the Miami Dolphins. I'm like, this is not for real. So he takes me to the hotel, check in, says, right, tomorrow morning I'll meet you. We go to the fields and we start. Okay, Doug, no problem. I'm thinking, how can he teach me to kick an American football? Right? 8 o'clock in the morning, he scoots round. Seriously. So he takes me to the university grounds, So we go out. I'm trying to kick these. Now the American football is lighter than a rugby ball, and basically if you don't kick it right, it deviates. It goes all over, and it wobbles. It goes all over the place, right? So I'm kicking it with a bent knee, like you kick football, right? So he's like, no, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. He's sitting on his little bike. It's hilarious. Right? So with that, it's like, I'd say probably about 20-30 minutes, and in the end he completely flips. God damn it, he says, I fucking told you it's not a soccer ball. He said, lock your knee, right, point your toe, you got to keep your legs straight, right? He completely goes into one. So I'm like, Doug, look, all right, fuck it, he's gone. He's fucked off on his bike. He's gone. He's left me now. I'm standing. I'm like, right, I said, Doug, come back. He's shot off, have a piss, then he's come back. He said, sorry, Clive. So I've gone, no, it's all right, Doug, no problem at all. So he said, right, let's get back to business. Right, so eventually, he's unbelievable. He sorts me out. He's like, you got to do this, you got to do that. So I start nailing them, hitting them straight. Well, so then what happens is we all go to camp in Atlanta, all the 7 teams from Europe, because they're all they're basically all the reserve players from all the NFL teams. They farmed them out to Europe for the summer to play in NFL Europe. So if you'd been at, say you're at Jets, you haven't played many games, they want to see you play, they send you to Amsterdam or wherever the teams are.
I wish I fucking would have done
Honestly, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. So then I play for the Monarchs. So I kick for the Monarchs. So the very first game, we're at Chelsea. We played at Stamford Bridge. Very first game, 40 lads in the dressing room. Like, we've got all the gear, you have to wear it. Yeah, we've got the whole lot, right? So I've got a couple of American guys, one who's the holder, one who's the punter. So we're special teams, because we're the kicking team, we're the special team. So we're sort of at the side, all the linemen are over there, all the others are. So with that, Lionel comes in, the coach, real good player in his day, but a real lad, real card. So he comes in. All right, lads. I'm thinking, right, this is the big G up. So he's gone, take a knee. So I've gone, take a knee. So he's gone, take a knee, boys. So fucking, I've gone to the director. Take a knee. I said, what is that? He said, we're going to pray. I said, going to what? He said, we're going to pray. I said, why are we going to pray? He said, we want to come back alive. Right? So I'm thinking, oh fuck, what have I done? He's gone, you have to take a knee, you have to pray. He said, because you don't know if you're coming back alive. I went, what? Right, so we go out, all go running out. Right, so we're on the touchline. So I've not even seen the game. I've seen it on telly, but I've not witnessed the game live. So I'm standing right on the touchline. So as I'm standing on the touchline, all the teams, all the special teams, have got their own coach. So my special teams coach is going to be Clive. Stand back. So I'm going, no, I'm all right. I want to see what's going on. I want to see this. He's gone, Clive, stand back. So I've gone, I'm okay, coach. I'm all right. Right, with that, they've kicked the ball.
Okay.
The guy's caught the ball. He's come running down the touchline. He's got wiped. When I say he's got wiped, our boys have come across, bang, and we've all got. Basically, we just got wiped out. On
the crowd.
Yeah, right. Because it's narrower than a football pitch, so you're like standing on the touchline on the grass. We're all on the floor. Coach has come over to pick me up. I just go from there. I fucking told you to stand back. He said, you get injured, we got no fucking kicker. So I'm like, honestly, you cannot believe it. It's like,
You didn't think it was that?
It is absolutely. If you imagine, put a helmet on, right, and run at that wall as fast as you can and head the wall with the helmet. That's what they're doing. They're trying to kill one another. Seriously, they're trying to kill one another, right? So with that, I have to go on for my first kick. PAT. So we've got a touchdown. So what happens is, as they're driving with the ball up the field, your team, you're in possession of the ball. You're moving them. The special team goes right, field goal, and then we get.
So when you get a touchdown, you've got to kick after that.
Yeah, PAT. It's called a point after touchdown. So you go on to kick the point, but it's only a short kick. It's only like you never miss them. You field goals are a bit further out and you can miss them. but the PAT you never. So we get a touchdown. So my first kick is a PAT, little kick over the post, right? So as we're driving down with the ball, the special teams coach, he's telling me like, get yourself ready, like get ready, field goal, field goal. Oh, touchdown, PAT. Special teams, kicking team, on you go, right? So I go running on. I can't get the strap on my helmet done up. It's a popper thing, and I'm trying to pop the strap, right? So you get out there, and you say to the holder, you say to her, right, spot it there. You have to step off from the spot where he's going to hold the ball.
Do they throw the kick back?
Is
it kick?
No, the centre snaps the ball back, right?
No, for the one after the try.
No.
It's not rugby, John.
No, it's basically you've got your line, your defensive line, and the centre is the one that snaps it back. He flips the ball back to your holder.
So not to throw back to put it down, to kick it over.
But you have to start running
as he snaps it.
No, before he snaps it.
Right.
Because basically you've got to meet it. Because if you don't get there at the same time, they will come and block it, right? So it's all about timing. And so of course, the centre snaps the ball back. I run up, and I've gone to the holder. I can't get man. He said, fuck the goddamn hell. He said, just kick the fucking goddamn ball, right? So with that, the centre snaps it. I'm like, I've run, I've hooked it over the corner flag. It's gone like fucking over there, right? So as I'm coming off, I'm like, sorry lads, like fuck. So all the linemen, all the big boys are sitting on the bench, right, who have basically been fucking knocking shit out of one another to get the touchdown, right? I'm going, sorry lads. They go, fucking sit down, donkey. Right?
49 goals!
Right? So
play with Maradona.
Like, yeah, sorry lads. And I've gone right up the other end of the benches, like, and I've just sat. And of course, you don't get in the game again until you've got another kick. So like sitting there.
So you've got to sit and stew on it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a most amazing. It was an amazing experience. Absolutely, it was an incredible experience.
How many games did you play?
7. We were crap. We had a bad line.
Did you kick many over or
no? What happened then? We didn't have a good season, but I was 6 for 6 on my field goal. So the longer ones, I won a game at Murrayfield against the Claymores, Scottish Claymores, and I won a game against Barcelona with a last-minute field goal in the Olympic Stadium in Barcelona. It was. Did
you celebrate?
Oh yeah. Well, in Scotland, I went mad in Scotland. I would come back in the dressing room, and go, yeah, we fucked the jocks and all this, right? and they're all going. All these American boys going, is he for real? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, come on, boys, we've done them. And then the one in Barcelona was the one when they. Because it was the Barcelona was a really late kick. If I make the kick, we win, and I did. And then they will take me out in Barcelona.
If I made the kick,
yeah, I made the kick, and then they're like, good job, like, and they said, right, you're out with us tonight, and you go out with a lineman. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant it was.
How did that actually come about?
It was because each national team had a national kicker, and because I was working at Sky were covering. The NFL, very, very clever at marketing, the whole thing, publicity.
So did they know about your interest?
They did, but also the boys, the American boys, are very clever. So about 3 or 4 days in, they trained at Crystal Palace, the National Sports Centre of Crystal Palace. So about the 3rd day in, one of the big boys came and said, you play soccer? So I said, yeah. So he said, you must have been quite good. So I went, well, I had a decent career. He said, I want to go to a soccer match, right? So I went, okay, yeah, I'll sort something out. So with that, it went round all the group, went round the squad. So then there's like 10 of the lads. You're taking us to soccer. I'm like, oh, am I? Yeah. In the end, I took them to a West Ham Middlesbrough game at Upton Park. They absolutely loved it. It was 0-0. Right? It was 0-0. Harry was in charge, and like West Ham were great. They we sort the tickets out, blah blah blah. They came, they absolutely loved it. So 0-0, of course, the game finishes. So everyone gets up. They're like, overtime? I said, no, it's done. It's like 0-0, 1 point each. It's
10 to 5, mate. It was 10 to 5, lads. It's done.
They they just didn't get it. They couldn't get it. It's like they loved the atmosphere. They loved the game. Obviously, the game's perpetual motion because their game stop. They loved the experience. The next day, I went in. I took 6 of them to the West Ham game. Next day, I went in. They're like all my best mates. It's like, next soccer match, I want to go. It was great. It was brilliant. Great experience. And a few of them went back to do well in NFL. They from being reserve players, they have a good summer in NFL Europe. They went back to the NFL and then
kicked on from there.
Kicked on.
A bit like Harry Kane, really.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's a bit like Harry Kane, isn't it? He went to Leighton Orient. He went to.
That's right. Yeah.
Wherever he's been to.
He went to Norwich, Millwall. He went to a few clubs. Yeah, Leicester.
Well done, John.
Pardon?
You nailed it.
Come back under all right.
Definitely.
You see that photo of not so long ago, Leicester bench, Harry Kane were on it and Vardy were on it, and the manager was Nigel Pearson.
Yeah. He's got a job on at Watford, though, Nigel.
Yeah.
Struggling, aren't they?
Well, cheers, Clive.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much. If anybody wants to buy the book,
there it is.
buy it.
Yeah, by the way, you're looking well on there.
Yeah, I know.
Have they photoshopped it?
Probably.
You're looking well.
Well, cheers.
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you
it.
very much.
Thank you
Cheers,
very much.
Clive.
Been
Thank you.
absolutely
Enjoyed that.
fantastic. I might want to get
stuff.
into a bit of NFL now, I think.
Did you fancy it?
Yeah.
Right, I've got to
Cheers.
dash, boys, I'm afraid.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, mate, top man. An hour's game, it takes fucking 4 hours, doesn't it? Cheers. Thank you very much.